But let's start as Heineken with a short video.
Challenge that stands above the rest. The world is becoming more and more divided. And when divided moves in, human connection moves out. That's why we believe in togetherness. Because divided may have the louder voices, but togetherness got the louder laughs. While divided looks down on people, together raises us up. Our values will guide us on the journey to bring togetherness back and to reimagine and revitalize beer. Values like our passion for our consumers and customers. Yeah, all of them. All needs, all palates, even beyond beer. All treated with empathy and understanding. Our courage to dream and pioneer. We don't just imagine, we take action. We're fearless in the face of failure. It's how we were born in Amsterdam, but raised by the world. We care for people and the planet. Green blood pumps through our green hearts. Responsibility is behind our every action, because we only succeed when the whole world thrives, and most importantly, our enjoyment of life. That spark that ignites meaningful memories and builds unbreakable bonds. These values will be our compass to defeat divided and to fulfill our purpose, to brew the joy of true togetherness, inspiring a better world. Because when the magic of joy meets the endless energy of togetherness, ordinary becomes extraordinary. It won't happen overnight, but with our relentless pursuit of purpose, we can make the world a little better. One day, one beer, one cheers at a time. We are Heineken.
Thank you. Oh yeah, thank you. It's always good to start from the applause.
Okay, so you've seen the video and you see how we as and Heineken approach different things. There's loads of challenges in the world, and we are not afraid to take them on and build something from that. But also today the session is about how we look at the organization and about getting people on board, having people, developing people, but also extending it a bit beyond before they join and when they come after. I will show you a few numbers about Heineken because this gives a bit of a context with what challenges we have as an organization. So we are 12 years old, so not very young, but also not very old for the shared services standards. At this moment, or those are the data for the end of September, we are over 2,000 people in the organization. And we are still growing. We still have plans of quite substantial growth. And that, of course, brings a lot of challenges because as you see how many open positions and recruitments we had this year, this will continue. So this brings us with the focus on how to get the best people from the market. And later on, when we have them in, how to develop and how to keep the organization, people in the organization. I put the number of managers and team leaders because for us this is also a big focus and some of the topics bring a lot of challenge. We have managers, as you see, huge number. This is the managers who are, those are the managers who sit in Kraków, but they also sit somewhere else and they have teams here. So we have a challenge of really building the organization and culture, which is multifunctional, multi-location as well, and making sure that we go where we want to go. We have a lot of team leaders, and I put this number because those are people who are 20-something years old, 30 maybe, but very often this is the first job as leaders. And as we talked today in the previous session, the world, I don't know if it's changing. Maybe we probably talk more openly about different things and different differences in people. But they come up with a lot of challenges with people, the younger generation, but also how to bring in all the, how to make decisions, how to resolve conflicts, and all the typical stuff which managers have to deal with. So our challenges with the growth and development are going, how to address our candidates and attract them, but also how to stay in the organization, build a culture while we grow and we bring so many new people and not lose this joy of true togetherness, which you've seen in the video. And because of that, we had really, a lot of work on that, and a lot of thought was put in our thinking, thought in the thinking, a lot of thought in the working. And Dominika will tell you what we came up with 2 years ago and how we look at our employees.
Oh yeah, that's super cool. So exactly, we are going to speak today about some challenges. And 2 years ago, more or less, it was also during the autumn, we took under the very strict control how we actually are moving with the employee life cycle. And I'm sure that this circle is very well known by you, because it's not like a rocket science, but actually we did a deep analysis, each element, piece by piece, how we are doing actually in terms of this first part, so employer branding, so every single part starting from awareness, how we build awareness, how we build attraction, and to convert potential candidates into our employees, how we onboard, how we develop people, how we move into building the engagement with the, of course, conception of the rewards and recognition till the very last moment of being in the office, so till the exit experience. We operate on the two experiences, and for sure your companies as well, so candidate experience and employees experience, but we added on top of that to extend both of those experiences, so not only to think about candidates, but something that is just before being a candidate, and of course looking on the employee experience. What we do when actually person is no longer with our company. Is it our ambassador or not really? Because we strongly believe that somebody who is leaving the company may want to come back, and actually we would love many of them to come to us still. And today we are going also to focus on the challenges, of course, in comparison to this employee life cycle, to extend those two experiences. And I try to move on to another slide. Thank you. Not yet? Okay. Yeah. So with our lovely panelists that you are going to listen in a minute, we have a conversation on what we understand and how we see current market, what are the challenges. And we distinguish those 9 bullet points, which actually we know that it's not the 100% of those challenges that are right now on the market. But today we want to go one, actually we would love to tackle all of them. We know we don't have like a lot of time to do that, but at least we'll try. And right now I can ask for the mentee, thank you very much, because we would love to also hear your voice out of those 9 points, which you believe is the most critical one from your perspective, your company. So right now, short moment for making a scan. Okay, I think we have it, so we can, for now, just to close this section. And we believe that we should tackle the acquisition of highly specialized experts, as we can see that still there is a struggle to do that. Okay, Menti is not working? Okay, so good. Okay. If you can confirm, is it open or not yet? Still
Probably
no?
not, I don't see anyone there.
So, okay.
Technology.
Oh yeah. So we will try to right now to a little bit go into the description, and hopefully in the meantime, so-called the Menti will be open. So starting from the acquisition, later on.
Yeah, how to build employee engagement, what to do in the areas of employer branding, employer value propositions, and keep the employees engaged in the organization.
Especially looking into account different generation under one roof, but also that we are working and cooperating very often in hybrid models or even in 100 remote. So how we do that?
Yeah, absolutely. We also think that, combining different generations, looking at what was in the previous session, neurodiversity, and I will jump to the last point, all the things emerging about health and well-being and mental health, especially in the organization, it's also quite a challenge.
We have a confirmation that Menti is working, so thank you very much, super cool. So let's move to Steel. Thinking about leadership, how we develop, how we support our leaders who are very often on the first line of different challenges and struggles. How we do that? We can see that this is also a huge challenge nowadays.
And all the topics about total rewards, remuneration, especially with the legislation about transparent pay and so on, those will be also the challenging for our organizations.
And equality in terms of
as well, yeah.
Transformation, restructurization. At the beginning of this year, we heard a lot of information about layoffs, about restructurizing of companies, and or right now a lot of many freezes in terms of the recruitment. How we deal with that?
Yeah, but also companies are growing, and how we can also goes to the point number one, how we can grow in this environment when there is. I don't like to say work for talent, but how to get the best people and set up ourselves in the best way.
And the last point of this list, so well-being and mental health, very emerging subjects, not only in the world, but also, of course, in our employer, from our employer perspective. Can we see the results, how you actually voted for that? Oh, yeah. So as you can see, we've got some winners in terms of, if we can say so, challenges. So we've got transformation, restructurization with building employee engagement, but it is quite dynamic as the market is. So right now, if we can introduce and ask our wonderful panelists to join us on the stage, if we can move. So please let me welcome Daria Plona from Herbalife, Adam Seoudi from Dyson, yes, and Katarzyna Kwiatek from BBH Brown Brothers Harriman. If you can sit. Thank you for joining. So maybe let's start with, of course, with a short intro of you. So maybe Daria, will start from you.
Okay, Daria Plona. I'm the senior HR business partner in Herbalife. Herbalife is a GBS center in Kraków, set up more or less the same time as HEINEKEN, I believe, around 12 years ago. We're like over 500 people in the center. Do we introduce the companies more? Domi?
A very short one.
Right. So I'll pass on maybe to Adam.
Okay.
Adam.
Hi everyone, I'm Adam Seoudi and I'm a global reward manager at Dyson. Dyson is relatively, for a relatively short time in Kraków, that's around 3 years. We have around 300 people in Poland, providing different services, finance, HR, IT, R&D from Kraków as well. Yeah.
Thank you. And Kasia?
Hello, everyone. My name is Katarzyna Kwiatek. I'm Global HR Business Partner at Brown Brothers Harriman, although I would actually describe the role as a catalyst rather than business partner. And for BBH, we've been here for 14 years. Two very important things about our company, which will also give you some background to the discussion later on, is that we're a private company. We're a privately owned bank. And in Poland, we have 2,000 people now, which is not odd on the market here, but we have 6,500 people globally. So 30% of our workforce is in Poland, and that drives a lot of the actions that we're dealing with.
Okay, so maybe we start with Lifecycle. Dominika introduced that, and is your approach in the organization? Do you go? What is specific for you? Do you go with the life cycle as was on the wheel, or you go beyond that and you have something else? Maybe Daria, you could start.
I would say we have a very similar approach. I mean, obviously starting with the employer branding and making sure that we're visible in the market. I'm not sure that Herbalife as a product brand is so well known in Kraków. So even talking about the product, even talking about the healthy lifestyle, everything that our company stands for, this is part of how we're trying to build the awareness of the company. And yes, definitely, I mean, going through kind of while the employees with us, but also we're paying a lot of attention to the exit, and I mean, in the history of the company, quite many people did come back. So I think there's something right happening there, definitely. One thing I would pay attention or would like to draw your attention to in this is, I mean, focusing on the employee life cycle, I mean, is as effective as we can get the leaders involved in it. Like, I think it works much better if it's not just an HR job. It's not just seen as something that HR function is looking after. It has to be a shared responsibility with the business we're supporting, especially the leaders.
Any one of you? Yeah. Something.
Okay, so I think we were doing a very similar thing. With BBH, we pay a lot of attention to the preliminary phase when we're talking about candidates and the branding. We're not a retail brand, we're not a product company, so building that awareness, especially among experts, is key for us. Just as an example, when we're focusing on hiring technology experts, very hot market, as you all know. So we would have to go through direct interactions, through building relations, rather than relying on a brand like, I don't know, HEINEKEN or Dyson can do. So that would be happening through a number of events, through participating in, I don't know, conferences, organizations like Women in Tech and so on and so forth. So we treat this part very, very seriously. I think that we're pretty standard when it comes to approach to the employee life cycle, but then again, to Daria's point, the exit part is key for us, and I think that what plays a role is first of all, to make sure that the person leaving company becomes the ambassador, that they leave with a really good experience. But the other side of things is making sure that we implement the feedback that we're getting from them, because there are reasons why they're leaving. And we have structured and unstructured processes to make sure that we collect this information and that we actually put it into practice and change things.
If I have to add something to that one, I was thinking whether you can really not be following the employee life cycle. If you don't do that, you will be forced to do it, because the employees will be in different phases and you will need to react to that. So all of us, we are following the employee life cycle. It is only about whether it's structured or not. And at Dyson, it's not very structured. We are not that big company. We have more than 10,000 employees globally. In Kraków, around 300 people. And we are very dynamic. We are a privately owned company. So we try to be really agile and flexible for our employees as well. So from the reward perspective, my biggest project and thought that I have was that, how do I support employee life cycle with reward? Because we all work for money. I don't believe we work for the higher purpose only. Basically, you need to build your hygiene level. This is what I got from you, Domi. We had the discussion in the previous company. We've been together that you need to have your hygiene level to build on top of that. So reward is the key for then implementing your employee life cycle events and then your generally your lifetime event as well. And then if I have to share any example of that is, first of all, we introduce right now the Academy for HR Business Partners so that they understand what they can offer, what are the tools that you can offer on each step, on each stage of the employee life cycle. So it's a clear governance of what you can do, how we can support as a people function our employees. And you know that or you don't know, but Dyson is now going through the like hard times, which means that we have a huge project where we really try to transform ourselves with the new CEO. So this is a great example because people decided to stay with us and to continue because they know that they can really grow with their organization. That's it.
Thank you for that. Can we also display the Menti results one more time? So soon we'll see again how it is, but I was wondering how right now in your companies, what is the emerging thing? So what challenge would you choose as the most important ones? Adam?
Two, just quick one, engagement and basically psychological well-being. I would select those two because they come together. So one is that in Poland, we have one of the lowest engagement globally. 10% of employees are engaged in Poland only, while more than 30% in the US and Canada, and then around 80% in Asia, more than 20% in India. And therefore, we have a huge issue because another topic is that our health organizations say that by 2030, depression will be one of the most common disease globally, and those two come together. So how do you engage your employees when most of them, or a big part of them, will be facing depression? So for me, those two are super important.
Thank you, and for sure today we'll still be digging into that subject as well. Daria?
I would say it's, supporting our leaders in leading through change. We've been through, globally, Herbalife has been through a major restructure, huge transformation that had impact on the company globally, our office as well. So this, I would say, kind of rebuilding the engagement of the teams, but like basically all the pressure that the managers are facing right now and how they really lead the organization.
So we've got mental health, engagement, leadership. Kasia, would you add something on that list from?
Yeah, I would add something from the list and outside of the list. The one outside would be, for me, pace of the world, including economy, politics, labor law changes, but also the information noise. We're bombarded with information everywhere, at work, at private life. That translates actually to the mental health piece really well, but I think it's a huge challenge. And the other one is the generations mix, which is especially interesting for me because in BBH, not only we have 4 generations like you all do, but we have different ratios of these generations depending on our locations. So with US being way more towards X's and Poland being millennials and Zs even. So that's a very interesting challenge for us, and we have different strategies to approach that.
Thank you. And Eva, would you add something on behalf of Heineken?
I think I would sign under all of what you said. I think for us is the biggest challenge, or what we are facing right now, is the transformation, is the growth and also changing inside the structures. Change management, which has to go with this, and the leadership, which to help to really have people on board, managers, to support employees with the appropriate information, but also taking care of their mental state, with the changes. We are all different, for some people thrive in change, but most people are a bit anxious when the changes are coming. So I would say transformation and all the things connected with this change management, leadership, mental health. Fortunately, we are lucky with engagement, and people want to stay longer with us and staying longer, but that also brings another challenge, how to keep that. We've done a lot of work on lowering attrition and really building a fantastic place, but you have to, people are expecting more and more, so that also how to keep up with employees, also to deliver what we need to deliver.
Thank you very much for that. So I think that right now we will have like 15 minutes around going through the employee life cycle and then beyond. And after that, we'll also leave some time for the question from you. So let's start. And onboarding, do you still think that it is a valid part of the employee life cycle? How your companies are responding to that? What you do? Maybe you have some practices also worth sharing. So maybe, Kasia, we'll start from you.
Okay, so I think it's a key, one of the key parts, because this is when actually the candidate, now the employee, verifies what they bought through the recruitment process. So it's super important to make sure that we meet those expectations. For us, onboarding is about two things now. So it's a fully in-person experience, and it's led or owned, I would say, by the business. It's not an HR process. It's all hands on deck exercise. So we had to adapt, of course, through pandemic and after pandemic, but I would say that the key practice that we have is the involvement of the leaders, the senior leaders and the managers in the process. They actively lead the sessions, they participate in the sessions, and they interact with everyone joining the company. We also introduced an additional step in the onboarding process recently, because when you join the company, all is new, it's super overwhelming. There is no way you will remember everything. Plus, your primary focus would be to learn your new job, to learn how to operate with your team. But 2 or 3 months down the road, we introduced a speed dating event, if you will, that is driven by our ERG networks. We call them banks in BBH. So it's a speed dating ERG network event for new joiners when, on top of learning how to operate, how to work, they can actually try to fit themselves, find things and areas that are meaningful to them, not only on the work and role level. And this is our latest experiment, quite successful for now. So three items, I would say, that we're doing here.
Thank you very much. Anyone else would like to share any with experiences in terms of that field?
Well, we have similar. I was just thinking when you were saying and taking our context into mind that I would go a bit extended before they onboard, really have those 3 days in our case in the office, that really onboard people before they join, especially in the situations when very often when they come and join us, they don't know how the team will look like, is this manager or that manager. So not for all, but for new teams, to really make sure that people understand that because some people are very happy to come and build, and some people need the structure and they will not feel comfortable. So getting also, the contact with the managers before they join, so they can also understand the context they are coming into.
So also extending the onboarding, so-called pre-onboarding. You mentioned a lot about building the engagement, and for many months or even the years, we are speaking about building an engagement in terms of the hybrid ways of working. How it is, how you do that, how you maybe enforce or maybe not people to the office, and how you build the engagement. Yeah. Okay, Adam, so let's start if it is a good one.
So one, at Dyson, you need to work from the office. There is no other way. And people like that because they know that from the very beginning. They know that's the rule. Actually, for Kraków, we have kind of a hybrid model, but generally, globally, we work from the office. Obviously, it's about the collaboration. It is about, we believe that this is how we engage people. We have a great office in Kraków next to the Unity Tower, Unity Center around Domogilskie. We have our own kind of canteen. So this is about, building the environment where people can really meet. We have our own barista, so they, serve you coffee. So all this causes that people are really attracted to the office. They really like to spend time in there. And yeah, I believe that if they know what they're expected to do, they're okay with that.
I would. We have a very similar experience. We were very open from the very beginning that we will be working from the office, and we have the same model since we came back after pandemic. What I would add to your points is, again, heavy involvement of the senior leadership. So a lot of on-site events, not only events like town halls or diversity-related events, but also we actually have partners, so the owners of the company pretty much, and our top management coming to Kraków very, very often. And it's not only for a client visit or for a leadership meeting, but it's actually for operational purposes, because of all of our partners are engaged in running the business. So they actually work with the teams on the ground. So having that presence in the office really supports that. And I would also add education and mentoring. We have a lot of mentoring programs and initiatives, and whenever possible, these are happening face to face, and there is a great value in that.
Very often we speak about coming to office, but I'm wondering, do you measure, and very often companies are actually measuring if people are coming to the office, but is there any consequences of not coming? What's your approach? Or is it just like a positive enforcement?
Well, nothing direct. I would say that it won't work, so we don't want to scare people. We just want to show them that this is the opportunity. Well, it is a requirement, actually. This is part of your contract. So basically, obviously, yes, we do monitor that, and there would be a conversation between the leader and the employee that, well, we are here to collaborate. So basically, it's with leader to make sure that they organize, for example, the team meetings in the office, rather than allowing people dialing in and doing half-half. So I think that no penalties, that won't work, but rather incentivizing people coming to the office.
Thank you to that. And you also mentioned, Daria, maybe we'll start with you this time, that it's crucial to have managers, the business, so-called the business, on your side in terms of the employee life cycle. Can you just share with us the experience, how you actually make sure that the managers are with you?
So, I mean, it would start with onboarding and kind of their presence during the first couple of days and their ownership there. To give other examples, on leadership development forum, for example, we have a new global program that is supporting leaders, equipping them with new skills, more skills when it comes to leading through change. The program is actually, it's global and it's mostly self-paced and it's mostly online. But one thing we decided locally with the leadership team is that we wanted to supplement this with something face-to-face happening in the office. The first idea might have been that, okay, can HR facilitate? And HR can facilitate, but we're super happy to do it together with the leaders. And that's how we're doing that. So kind of on top of that program that is global and safe-paced, it's the leadership team together with the HR business partners kind of doing follow-up workshops, right? So it's that involvement of the business in developing the skills. To give one concrete example.
You also, Kasia, mentioned that the onboarding is fully business process. Do you have other so-called HR processes that are owned actually in your company by the business?
I would say that pretty much all of them, to be honest with you, starting from the branding and recruitment. Again, very heavy business. As HR, we're more of an enabler of these processes, and we keep both managers and employees involved in all these stages. So when you look through pretty much every HR related or labeled as HR process, recruitment, EDPs, compensation planning, and so on and so forth, this is heavily driven by the business.
And Eva, in Heineken, can you share our experience in terms how we actually are working and supporting leadership?
Yes, absolutely. I would just, a thought came to me. In one of the organizations I worked in previously, we used to say that HR focuses on business, so business can focus on people. And I strongly believe that, we don't even call it HR processes, it's people management processes. Because as long as we will have HR processes, we will be doing it ourselves. So we are very lucky, and I see a couple of colleagues on the chairs that we have full ownership, not on me as people function, but on the managers looking after all the processes we have to deliver, and also after developing of the leadership. So this is crucial. Especially we work in hybrid ways. We have only 5 days per month. So we need to use a lot of opportunities to engage people, and true togetherness helps us a lot. So, making different events, but how to lead people, how to take care of people is very important. We have different programs. We have some programs, online sessions, but we put a lot of focus on having programs in-house, really having conversations based on feedback, based on sharing knowledge and developing people internally. During the programs, we had a fantastic program for 1.5 years called People First Culture, when we really focused on any topics connected to people and how to work with people, how to develop them, how to manage change, how to give feedback from the very basic things to a bit more advanced. Also the mentoring coaching which is happening here, and I'm very proud that we started coaching because it came also from the people. We had in plans, but we didn't have capacity, but it came from the organization. It comes out that, probably in every organization you don't have to have people in people function or HR who are mentors or coaches. And if people are engaged, they are building their own programs. And that's also for me, very important, because that's how the leadership is extended, strengthened, when people come from not only it goes from our management team or people function, but it comes also from the organization.
Mm-hmm. One of the challenges that also are listed is a huge pressure on the salaries and also on the transparency. So it would be hard not to tackle this subject as well, especially that we've got you, Adam. I know that recently you started also the podcast Transparently. So what do you think about the transparency? Are we ready to make salaries transparent? And also, if you could later on a little bit mention about discrepancy between gender, between salaries.
Mm-hmm. Yes, it is a challenge also for the entire employee life cycle, because as I said before, your hygiene level, you need to have it. Yes, we do have the E directive that is in front of us. We have a CSRD directive that will come into force. We will need to start reporting since next year. Are we ready for the pay transparency? And I think there are 3 dimensions for that. One is the operational readiness. I guess most of our companies in our sector are ready because we do have HR systems that works. We have payroll systems. We have everything ready. You just need to report out, analyze, and share that. This is not an issue. Another dimension is the pay gap itself. And I think we are not ready as an industry, because we are after many years of very aggressive battle for talents. We have been making very hard decision on bringing to the company employees even above the salary ranges. In our industry, that was a common practice. And therefore, I don't believe we are ready in that term, because we don't even know how to measure the pay gap, how to understand pay, because yes, we do understand the basics, like the male remuneration minus female, and then divided by male. And yeah, this is obvious, but then it's about what do you put into the remuneration package. And this is pretty much everything, because the EU directive says it's everything, including overtime, including sick allowances and everything. So this is not only about the contractual pay, this is about everything. And then the third and the most important part is the culture and the managers being ready to talk about salaries, and I don't believe we are ready. So I believe that salaries, it was a salary and the reward and the total reward as well, maybe it was it was a secret. So how do you make the decision on pay? What are the salary ranges? Why don't we publish salary ranges to employees? Why do we publish only to IT people in the market? So all those questions will need to be answered within next year. We have like 1 or 2 increases cycles to correct the pay gaps. So I think this is really the last ring to start working on that one, because the employees, they are aware, they will be aware, because the EU directive is super precise on what is required from companies in Europe.
Super interesting, and many questions would add on top of what you mentioned, but we need to run. And very soon we'll open the mic for you, so if you have questions, it will come quite soon. Maybe the last question, or maybe two. A few days ago, I've heard that we've got so many different challenges that we shouldn't focus on diversity, equity, and inclusion. It shouldn't be a challenge. What do you think? Should or shouldn't? Kasia, you're laughing, so go ahead.
Yeah, it's my favorite topic, actually. We definitely should. We tend to think, because of course we do all those things within DEI, we measure things, we implement intercultural educational programs for the leaders, for the managers, and so on and so forth. But actually, every time we interact with people, it turns out that there are new things, and it's a process that will never end. And that's, I think, our key learning in this area. Like recently, we thought we had it all, like gender, sexuality, race, ethnicity, and now it's neurodiversity, which is a new challenge. So actually, we have just created another network, employee network in Poland, focusing on that, because it came to us by popular demand. We heard from our employees, this is what we want, this is what we need. So I would say that this is a continuous journey, and 2 key aspects would be education of the leadership on top, and then the bottom-up initiatives, and this is why we have ERG networks functioning really well in BBH. So tackling that from 2 sides in a nutshell is what we do in this aspect.
Okay.
I would agree. Like employees are definitely telling us that they are interested. So whoever is saying, you know, there's no time for it, is probably not listening to them. Just an example from yesterday, an inclusive, a short kind of lunch and learn session that we organized during the lunch hours in the office, brought like 50 people. So like 10% of all the staff decided to spend this 1 hour, and I mean, it's lunch and learn, but it's like simple sandwiches. So it wasn't, they didn't come for the food. They did come for the inclusive language session. So,
by the way, food is always working.
I mean, it does help with attendance, but that was like, you know, for me, this was an example of, yes, people are interested. Yes, people want to learn about it. Yes, people think this is important. They want their leaders to listen, and they want to get the education themselves.
Right. Last question. Health institution appointed that 20% of our Polish society suffering of different mental health issues. So we can also make, maybe not one-to-one, but 20% of our workplace people as well. How your companies are tackle this subject? I can see, Eva, that you wanted to answer that, so go ahead.
It's a very sad number, and unfortunately, it's probably the truth. We have it also in our organization, we see it, so this is one of our priorities, to look at health and well-being. We have it in our strategy, and it will stay probably for next years as well. We do we have a very robust program on that, and a lot of initiatives, educating people, but also building the possibilities for people when they can open up and they can talk about what they struggle with, you know, like libraries of our stories when people share their initiatives. Trainings for managers, how to deal with different crisis situations. So this is constantly on our minds, and I'm very proud to see that, you know, how it changed. We started this initiative 5 years ago, just before the pandemic. Pandemic helped us because there was more focus on that, helped us in terms, you know, to get really focus from the organization on mental health. but I see how people are more comfortable, and we have to keep doing it because it more and more challenges. We didn't talk about AI, and I know this is also the very big challenge of the automation, how to work smarter, but this also brings a lot of strength on people mental health, working non-stop in digitalized world or being afraid of what AI will bring. This is also a challenge. Sorry, I'm speaking very fast because we're 24 seconds after the time.
So do we have any question from you to our wonderful panelists? Oh, yes.
Only one, okay?
Okay.
We're here later. If
Thank
want
you.
to speak
So
to-
the topic of the salary was mentioned, and I wanted to ask about this in the context of the industry which we have here in Kraków, by which I mean the shared service centers, GBS industry. We know that the cost of the salaries are increasing. We know that Poland as such is becoming less and less competitive. Of course, we are still competitive, but the salaries are increasing. Are we not at a point where we need to talk openly about some pact of non-aggression or look at that from an industry perspective, have a serious conversation to stop it? And would you imagine that there is a way of doing that?
It's illegal, right? Even talking about that is very, controversial right now. So, well, yes, we are a city that cannot compete with the cost because we are not cost efficient. We are not, but we are also, I guess, changing as an industry and as a location. So we can see that, and I think the great example of that is Dyson. We only have experts. We don't have any operational work in Krakow. Basically, all the operational work is in India. We have a center in Philippines, Malaysia, Singapore as well, where it's actually our headquarters. But we only have experts here in Krakow. So we can afford that because we are not paying for operations. And organizations see the value of having people here because they are, maybe they are paid similarly to our colleague on the West, but they are still delivering. Sorry for not answering your question, but no, I guess we can't really make any decision not to pay more.
But nice initiative about pact of non-aggression. So thank you very much. If any questions still you have in your mind, we are here still, right? Sometimes so you can ask them directly. And thank you for being Daria, Adam, Kasia, and Eva as well. So thank you for
Thanks so
being
much.
here.